Second. Here we go. We're live. Edo, No Chuff This podcast on the OLB. It's a Euro 2020 plus one review. I'm Stel. I've got Steve Eyre, Rhodri Giggs, Theo, and I can hear myself again. For fuck's sake. Here we go. Sorry, boys. Well, like I said last week, when I open the fucking live window, it opens another window and I can hear myself. And it completely throws me out. So I got Theo here again, and I got Guni from Man Knows Football. Don't say all hello all at the same time, gentlemen, because it's going to freak me out.
I'm
gonna get to grips with this whole live thing sooner or later. I promise. Fuck it, let's go right into it, shall we, boys? And what a Group F we've just seen. What a final game of Group F. Germany get a 2-2 draw against Hungary. They progress through to the next round. Portugal drew 2-2 also with the French, 2 from Cristiano Ronaldo, leveling with Ali Dia in terms of world record number of goals. Steve, when we saw this group at the beginning, it's natural to have thought Hungary would be the whipping boys, but they got a draw against Germany and a draw against France. I had a feeling Marco Rossi would have them well drilled. I didn't think they'd have the stamina levels to compete for a full 90 minutes, as we saw against the Portuguese. But clearly, they stepped up and they've really, really done themselves proud, haven't they?
Yes, they have. Obviously, the league table, it's played out as everybody, I think, would have expected, even though there was a lot of drama tonight. The stamina levels, I think they've been scoring in the games, so that's given them something to hold on to. And I think their crowd have been absolutely unbelievable, their supporters, a bit like the Iceland fans a few years ago. They've made big numbers, big noise, and I think they've really helped the team as a 12th man. So they've caught me out a little bit because, yeah, I'm with the most that thought it would be whipping boys, but at the end, it's just been heroic failure.
Absolutely. And Theo, again, Germany, I said at the beginning of the tournament, I don't really fancy them. And I know people will say you can't write off the Germans, and I get it. But this German team doesn't have anything for me. And I said they're probably the worst German team since USA 94. They've got England in the next round. Before we talk about that game, which obviously we're going to go into, what have you made of their campaign so far?
I think they've done all right. I think they've done well. I do agree that it's not the strongest Germany squad that we've known, but they still have some good players in there. I think Gozan's played really well. Obviously, Kai Havertz again. I think he scored a goal again. Gnabry as well, I think, is still a good player. So I think they've got the quality there. Gundogan as well. I think he came off injured at some point in the game this evening. But I still think their campaign that they've had so far, it's impressed me. It has impressed me to some extent. I think you look at Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Belgium, they look organised. And they were 1-0 down for parts of the game against Hungary, but I think you kind of always thought they were going to bring that back as well. So I do think they've had a very good Euro so far. Like I said, they look organised to me. So I think they can. Well, we'll talk about the England game, but I think they can. They look good so far.
Rod, when Germany went a goal behind, obviously it shocked a lot of people. I don't think anyone thought Hungary would hold on to it, but for them to level up and then go 2-1 down straight away, does that tell you that Germany defensively have got a lot to work on, even though they've switched to 3 at the back?
Yes, but you got to, give credit to Hungary. Me myself said they was going to be the whipping boys, but they're far from that. They give a good account of themselves, and could have easily gone through on another night by beating Germany. So, I agree with the fellas. It's not the greatest German side, is it? But we've seen in the last game how they turned over Portugal. They can play to that standard. So England have to play really well, or Germany could turn them over quite easily.
Guni, I can't not ask you a question about the Germans. They fought back to 2-2. Gorezka came off the bench. And that little youngster that came off the bench also, who the commentator reminded us 3 times that was part of Chelsea's academy, he had a hand in the equaliser. What did you make of Germany's performance overall?
Well, if you think back to what I said in the last stream that we had, is Germany always manage or somehow manage to shithouse their way through. And we've seen exactly just that today. So am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised. Hungary, they came out strong. Got to give them credit. And it's like you said, everyone thought they was going to be the whipping boys in the group. But just going back to that German performance, I'm actually expecting them to kick on from the knockout stages because I feel this is where they actually start to come alive. Agreed, this is actually the worst German team that I've personally seen for a very, very long time. But I do think they still have it in them to be sort of a danger. It's almost as if they're the underdogs now.
Well, underdogs against England.
No, I'm talking about in winning the competition.
And winning the competition, right. Got you. Fair enough. Okay. Well, we'll discuss the England-Germany game in just a moment. But Steve, back to you, mate. France, 2-2 draw against Portugal. Portugal went a goal up through a Cristiano Ronaldo penalty. First of all, was that a penalty in your eyes? Because for me, the moment I saw it, the first thing I thought was penalty. He cleared that Danilo de Lloris.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I have to tell you, I was fully fixed on the Germany game, which you've just covered. So I've not really seen much of the France game, and I didn't do the two tellies job. So I only saw the goals as they were coming back over to the Germany game still. So probably the lads are better off at judging what went right and wrong in that game.
Okay, no worries.
So no, I'm gonna have to pass. I'm gonna have to send that over to the lads.
No problem. Rod, did you see it?
Yeah, I seen it live, and it looked a penalty straight away. You know, yes, he got the ball, but he nearly took his head off. So, you know, the follow through is dangerous. You know, I think he did make the most of it, but still, it was dangerous. It was definitely a penalty. Don't know what the argument was.
And there was no doubt he was going to put it away, was there?
Yeah, he was. You know, we seeing they're quite efficient, and you know, Benzema as well. Even though he's missed a couple as well, missed a few recently. He put it away pretty well as well. But you know, the other penalty for France, the second one was soft, really soft.
Well, this is it. This is what I was going to ask everyone in the room, so to speak. I thought Samada had a good game in all fairness against Mbappe. Mbappe hasn't turned up yet. We thought he would. Clearly hasn't. But when the referee pointed to the spot, I thought, what's that all about? Because we see forwards being checked time and time again by fullbacks or central defenders, and that was innocuous. There was nothing in it. But the moment he pointed to the spot, I'm thinking, what actually happened? Was there something that happened off the ball that we didn't see? I thought maybe Semedo tripped him. But again, there was literally nothing in it. So I was astounded to see that given. Theo, did you see it?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was it was completely soft. I can't see what Semedo's done wrong there, and I thought he had a brilliant game until he came off. I thought he had to have, I said earlier on Twitter that he had to have the best game of his life, and he almost did that. Do you know what I mean? He played really well. I'm not sure what he did wrong for the penalty. I think it was soft, but you know, the referee deemed it a penalty, so they got to get on with the game. But in terms of the Lloris, the Danilo, that was a clear cut penalty. I think anyone who would argue the toss of that would be crazy, because I think, you know, he's punched him in the head. Yes, he got a bit of the ball, but it's still dangerous play in the game. You know, it's a foul. So, you know, outside the box, if that was two players coming together and his arm goes up like that and he hits someone in the face, it's a foul. So, you know, you've got to be consistent with those kind of decisions. And the ref got that one right, but he definitely got the Semedo, Mbappe. It wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, I agree. And Guni, I mean, you look at the three penalties that were given. I think for me, the only mistake the referee made was to give the first one to France, the one that obviously Benzema scored. As for the handball in the second half, clear as day for you?
Not really.
No?
Do you know, well, do you know what it is? It's
Come on, let's have this debate.
I'm on the fence because listen, I have to take into consideration the distance that Koundé was from the ball when it was being played, and it was relatively close, if we're being fair. The argument is should his hand have been up here? Is the question. But from what I saw, he looked like he was trying to get his hand out of the way. What the rule stipulates about that, I don't. Does somebody actually know? Because I don't want to be inaccurate about it. That's
They
why
use
I
the
can't
term
really make it.
unnatural position, don't they?
Yeah,
That's the one that they use. It's almost as if that's their get out of jail card, isn't it?
yeah. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit on the fence about it. So my answer to that really is I can see why it was given and I can see why it wouldn't be given at the same time. So that's really my stance on that one.
Okay, on the fence he goes, as he said.
Yeah, I have to.
Rod, come on. You're going to clear this up for us? The second penalty, Portugal's second one. Was that handball?
You're on mute.
He's muted himself.
Sorry. Like you said, why would his arm be up there? So, it's another one. It's soft, but, it's a penalty. So, yeah, but it is soft, though.
But either it is or it isn't.
Yeah, it's penalty. By rules, it's penalty. Why is his arm there? Especially in Euros, that they're a bit more stricter with that, a bit more stranger than the Premier League. I don't know why the rules are different in the Premier League.
Sorry to cut you off, but to be fair, like it did look like he was sort of either protecting his face or coming away. I don't know. So in that instance, you could understand why his hand is there.
Well, he's got to take one in the face. He can't.
Yeah, it's unnatural, isn't it?
So, yeah, he's got to take one in the face for his team and get patched up. But yeah, if his arms are above his head, it's a penalty.
I'm sure many women have taken it in the face for the team. Right. Oops. No one's watching anyway. It doesn't matter, does it? So yeah, as for the result in general, gents, fair result. I didn't really see France do too much in the second half. I know the goalkeeper made a couple saves, Patricio, but in terms of being a threat to win the game, it's almost as if both teams were happy to settle for a draw because that would take them through and just let Germany and Hungary fight it out. Theo? Yeah,
no, I agree. I think both teams were happy just to go through last 16. I think that's all that mattered at the end of the day, isn't it? That's what they wanted. I thought Portugal from the start, man, they were taking it to France, and even in Renato Sanchez was probably bossing the midfield at parts of that game. So I think overall, Portugal will come out of that game and think, we played the better team, the better game of football, but at the end of the day, they're both through, and I think that's in tournament football. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. It's just you want to get through to the next round, and you're looking forward to the last 16 now, and those two teams are. So I don't think tomorrow they'll wake up and wonder or worry that they didn't play well. They're through to the last 16 next game.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, also through to the last 16 are Sweden and Spain. Spain battered my Slovakia 5-0. Thanks to some great goalkeeping at the beginning from Dubravka. I don't know what he was playing at. I don't think he even knows what he was playing at. And Sweden beat Poland 3-2, although 2 for Lewandowski, which means he's got 3 in total, which is more than Mbappe Rod, who spent 175 million on Mbappe in our dream team. But Victor Claesson scored.
Still got potentially 4 games to go. So,
Okay, all right.
Some of your players are going home.
Well, it doesn't matter. Lewandowski's got 3. He's got 3 goals for me, so and I got him for nothing. Anyway, so yeah, Sweden through with Spain. Steve, are we gonna see an improved Spain now? I know they beat Slovakia 5-0, and granted, all right, they did smash them to bits, but Spain haven't really stepped up, have they? Now it's tournament mode. They've got Croatia in the next round.
Yeah.
How do you think that will go?
I think Spain really impressed with Croatia, obviously against Scotland the other night, playing them off the park after Scotland's cup final on Friday at Wembley. Didn't look like they had much to give, but Modric was obviously showed the world-class player that he is to the whole of the world. So they can't be ruled out. But we've been waiting for Spain. Thankfully, they had some cannon fodder this evening. They probably could have scored 8, 9, 10. They were looking cursed again at the start, hitting the crossbar, missing another penalty. And then they got their own luck themselves, obviously, with the goalkeeper's error. But he made some changes today. They look like they're going to grow into the tournament. I don't see them as winners, but I do see them getting through the next round past Croatia. And you can win 1-0 Me and Rhodri talk about it a lot, and it can galvanise, but that is often via spirit. The fact that you've had a shutout and you've probably won narrowly and nervously, but obviously a 5-0 thumping of any other nation, you can imagine they'll be skipping in training. The team will probably largely, you'd think now, would stay the same. So they'll have some good cohesion and patterns of play and confidence. And obviously Morata does appear to be growing into the tournament. So I expect Spain to beat Croatia still.
Brilliant. And Guni, what about Sweden, mate? A lot has been made of Forsberg, who's been fantastic in the Bundesliga. 2 today. They're through to the next round. They face Ukraine, who got through by the skin of their teeth. Let's be real. It was a poor performance against Austria from Ukraine. But, you know, given their performances against the Dutch and Macedonia, I think that they deserve to go through, albeit fortuitously. How do you think that game will go?
Admittedly, I didn't see the game today. I was at the doctor's for that one. But I don't know. It's a tricky one. Sweden, like I said, they have impressed. They haven't informed Forsberg. He's at Leipzig, right, over there in Germany.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I have seen him a few times over in that league. So I'm not really surprised by his performances at all. In terms of Sweden getting this far, I'm slightly surprised, but it's a tournament. Anything can happen. Next round. Again, that one's a toss-up, I believe. I think that's a toss-up, that game.
Yeah, I don't know, Theo, what do you make of that fixture? Because out of all the games, I think this one will be the most entertaining. I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth in this one. You know what? Sweden are very good defensively, and Lindelof looks like a completely different player. But as I said, they've got Forsberg and they've got Isak up front, whereas Ukraine are so ropey defensively, but they're very physical up front. So I think we might be looking at like a 6-goal thriller in this one.
Yeah, no, I think Sweden. I know what you're saying about Ukraine, but I just think defensively Sweden are good, and I do think they've rode the luck so far in this tournament. But I do like the way that they're set up, the way that they play their football as well. And like you said, Isak as well. I like him as a player, so I think Sweden will go through. And obviously, dependent on the England-Germany game, I think they play the winner of that knockout game as well. So I think, you know, they'll be wanting to play either Germany or England, whoever wins that as well. So I think they'll be up for it. I think they'll want to progress into the tournament. So I think they can do Ukraine.
Brilliant. Well, Rod, France, Switzerland next round. Can you see any other winner apart from France? It's going to be an annihilation, isn't it?
No, not really. The way France really feel like in cruise control really tonight. Look, Paul Pogba just like any cigar out. So yeah, it's going to be tough for Switzerland. You know, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin has scored 3 against Sheffield United, what's it going to score against Switzerland? So yeah, it's going to be difficult. And you know, like I say, France didn't really get out of third gear. Portugal really needed to win, and they seem to put more into the game and played more and controlled it a bit more and put more effort into the game. But France seems like didn't put that much effort in there and still got a draw. So because they're comfortably through. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one for Switzerland. You know, Sweden, Ukraine. Yeah, I fancy Sweden there as well.
Mm. And Guni, what about Belgium? Belgium face Portugal. I think that's probably going to be the tie of the round. I know people are going to talk about England, Germany, but I think Belgium, Portugal, in terms of names, you know, starlets, all that kind of stuff. Is this one that you're really excited about out of all of them?
I am, and particularly after Portugal's performance tonight, because they did impress me. The one player in particular, Renato Sanchez, was absolutely fantastic today, and the one
funny that he left the club in Wales and he became a better player.
yeah. But I'm happy for him. I'm happy since he's come away from England, he's matured and showed what he can do, though, to be fair on him. But that game's going to be a very interesting one. My only criticism of Portugal really is defensively, they have switched off a few times. And I do worry about that. And with the potency that Belgium have up front, particularly if they start with a strong squad. So if Hazard starts, if Lukaku starts, if De Bruyne starts, you already know you can't be giving these kind of players half chances because they will punish you 9 times out of 10. But for that one, if I had to choose a team that would be going through, I'm gonna say Belgium are gonna slightly edge it, only because their strike power is so strong, it's so good. And I think Portugal, they might not have enough over 90 minutes to contain them.
Do you know what? That's a great segue there, mate, because I was going to ask Steve about the battle between Ruben Diaz and Lukaku. Tonight we saw Benzema get the better of him. Portugal playing a high line, obviously deliberately, and if you see Portugal's goal, how Benzema just got in behind, playing off the defender's shoulder. Lukaku's a different player to Benzema, but obviously he's stronger, he's quicker. Do you think Ruben Diaz will cope with that?
Yeah, I think he'll cope with it. Whether he can cope with it completely, but I think largely he will. A lot of Ruben Diaz's great stuff for Manchester City, Stel, has been heroic. But City don't have to defend the penalty area too often, but when they does, it was like last-ditch stuff. I don't really think that Portugal's penalty area has been breached too much in terms of penetration. So you've not seen Diaz diving in, blocking, stopping shot after shot after shot, which, like I say, it doesn't happen often at City, but it does happen in the Premier League. I think these European Championships have been played out a little bit differently, and they're actually a little bit more clinical. And we've not actually seen Diaz be the warrior that he is. But I think if it comes in a 1-against-1 battle against Lukaku, to answer your question, yes, I think he'll cope. But I do think physically Lukaku is probably stronger than any opponent that he plays against, presumably. So you possibly will expect him to have a moment or two in the contest. And it's whether he can make his chance count. And to be fair, his numbers are really stacking up now. And who would back against that he wouldn't? So I give Lukaku the edge on it, despite Diaz being the defender of the year in the Premier League.
Theo, what about Bruno Fernandes? He's been anonymous in this tournament, in all fairness, and a lot of people on social media, you can't really pay attention to a lot of people on that because they're quite unhinged. But here we go back again. Oh yeah, he's a one-trick pony. He's not this. He's not all that. He hasn't had a great tournament so far. I get it, but knockout stage, you never know.
Yeah, and I think like I said before, I think with knockouts anything can happen, and I don't think he didn't start against France, did he? So a lot of nations have been, a lot of the bigger names that we would think would do well haven't really lit up the Euros yet. And you mentioned Mbappe is one of them earlier. So I think he'll get his moment. The longer, obviously, the tournament goes on and however long Portugal can stay in it, then I'm sure he'll get his chances. But yeah, I don't know. I think he isn't a one-trick pony for me. I think he's a very good player. It's just unfortunate that obviously he's not first on the team sheet for Portugal. I'm sure if he was, he'd be playing as good as he could. When he came on, I thought he had a good game as well for the moments that he was on the pitch for. So I think it'd be harsh to say that he's like a one-trick pony or he's just a bit player. He's a very good player and he's done that for club, and I'm sure he did the same for country as well.
Stel, are you there, mate? I don't think that the tournament football is suiting Fernandes too much because he's a risk player, he's a risk passer, and he's probably one of the best players in the world at chipping balls over defences. High risk, high reward. But I think the tournament football demands you to be so heavy in possession. Look at the Portugal front line tonight. Ronaldo demands it to his feet. Bernardo Silva has to have it to his feet. He can't run in behind. And Jota looks like a trialist at the moment for me. but at the same time, also wants everything to feet. So the stock and trade pass of Bruno Fernandes, which is to, send Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial away from a 40, 50-yard pass, which has a risk. I just think the tournament football demands a more controlled game and be clinical at the right moment. So I'm not sure it suits, despite me being a supporter of him, a fan of him, I should say. I just don't think his style of play of the risk pass, maybe we'll see it later in the stages, but I just don't think it suits tournament football.
But also, Steve, I think because Portugal are stacked when it comes to attacking midfielders, they've got Bernardo Silva, they've got Jota, Renato Sanchez can go box to box, Bruno Fernandes, Moutinho, who started today. So I think Fernando Santos, he's still kind of, I wouldn't say tinkering, but I don't think he even knows his best team at the moment, because the opening game, they played with 2 holding midfielders against Hungary and it worked. But it didn't work against the Germans, right? But today, they played with Danilo, who won the penalty, a holding midfielder, and Renato Sanchez, who effectively is a holding midfielder that goes box to box, and they got a good result. So I don't know how that system is going to work for the likes of, Bruno Fernandes, who wants to be in the hole, who wants to be in that number 10 position, but also drift like he does at United. It won't work.
No, I think it's all about keeping clean sheets and trying to get a formula to get Ronaldo on the ball as often as possible. And it's, again, who would coach against that? It's not a bad way to go, is it?
No, absolutely. Well, Guni, did you watch Denmark's win the other day, the 4-1?
The 4-1. No, I wasn't able to watch that game. No? Unfortunately, no.
You went to the doctors again, were you?
No. Not that time. It was daddy duties.
Duties, yeah.
Yeah.
Theo, did you catch that victory for Denmark against Russia?
I saw bits, but I can give you.
That's one of the best games of the tournament.
No, I know. I was gutted, but I do think Denmark have done really well. I don't think after their first game, and obviously the stuff that was surrounding that game, that there was much progression thought about them. I don't think people thought they were going to get out of the group or anything. So I think they've done well, and obviously a good win against Russia as well. Christensen with the bullet of a goal. It was a rocket, So I thought Højbjerg played really well. I thought he had a really good game as well from the bits that I did get to see. But I just think, Denmark, are they going to be a team that can progress any further than the knockouts now? Are they going to go beyond into like the semis? I can't see it. I think they're just one of those teams that will potentially end up getting out, losing their knockout game.
Well, I don't know whether the next game against Wales is going to be, because if it's in Copenhagen, then that will be a really, really tasty.
In Amsterdam.
It's in Amsterdam, yeah? Okay. Well, that's close by, isn't it? For them anyway. Well, mind you, it's all right for Wales, I guess.
Slap bang in the middle, probably.
Yeah. But then again, who's going to be high enough in the stadium? That's the thing. I don't have to cope with it. Now, in all seriousness, though, Rod, I mean, look, we joke about Wales. Well, I joke about Wales, you and I, and they got out of the group. It was a difficult group. I thought Turkey were gonna be dark horses for the tournament. I'm not gonna lie. I thought they're gonna surprise a lot of people. Clearly, they didn't. And Switzerland are no pushovers on their day. But Wales got through, and it's a difficult game. Let's be honest. And I think with what happened with Christian Eriksen, as I said on, did I say on the last podcast, it was either going to make or break them in terms of, are they going to just throw in the towel and say, right, Christian's health is more important, it's affected us from a mental perspective, or it's like, right, let's go win it for him. So you guys are going into this game. Are you confident that Wales can go through?
Yes, if we played to our maximum, but all the players and especially the main players like Bale and Ramsey play as well as they have done, then yes, we've got a massive chance. But yeah, it's been Denmark. The first game really shouldn't have played the second half because they clearly weren't in the right mental state for that. But it was obviously the decision that was out of their hands, so they were pressured into playing it. So then they had a bad result second game, and the third game, they've obviously got themselves together and realised their teammates going to be okay. And you've seen the quality of them. So they are a good side. They are missing a top player in Christian Eriksen, but you've seen without him how devastating they can be. But it was a massive crowd at Copenhagen, which clearly helps because it looked like a brilliant atmosphere there. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. It's not a gimme. So it's not like a France-Switzerland where you can probably say, yeah, France is going to win it easily. This is like a 50-50. Whoever turns up on the day, even if both teams turn up on the day, you would think, the world class of Gareth Bale or the better players of Ramsey or possibly James could open up and just win the game. But it's going to be a tough one.
What system do you think Wales are going to go with? And the reason why I ask is because when Denmark played against Finland in their opening game, it was effectively a 4-2-3-1. But they've now gone for a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2, whichever way you want to see it. So do you think Wales will go with a three-man system at the back?
I'm not sure. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's whatever you feel comfortable. I think you need to worry about yourselves more than others. Yes, you might have to adapt in game, but you need to work on yourself. Yes, you need to worry on the opposition and work on the key areas, but mostly you need to work on yourself. And if you perform and you do the right things that you've worked on in the week, we've got a good few days now to work on, an extra day than Denmark, which will clearly help. So yeah, they've got to work on the stuff, but mostly worry about yourself and do what you can control, and and not worry about the opposition. Yes, you obviously set pieces, other stuff, but ultimately you need to worry about yourself, and if you perform, then you're going to win.
There you go. Guni, did you watch England against Czech Republic the other day?
I did watch that game.
Yeah. What did you make of the Czechs? Because they're facing the Netherlands in the next round, and it's more like Patrick Schick against Depay. Two players in form at the moment. Again, Czech Republic, I didn't see anything that makes me believe that they'll get past the Dutch. That being said, the Dutch have got Frank de Boer as their head coach, and you just never know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, exactly that. And we have already seen in this tournament that Netherlands can be fairly sketchy defensively too. So I think it depends. It depends what Netherlands show up on the day. If they're tight at the back, I do see them going through, but it's certainly not going to be a gimme for them, because again, Czech Republic, they pose their own threats. You mentioned Patrick Schick, who has been good this tournament. Obviously, scored that wonder goal earlier on. So I think this might be a quite entertaining game as well, to be fair, on the slide, because I do think that each team, I feel this tie, each team has an equal amount of chance of going through, because again, it's come to a different stage of the tournament, because the knockout stages is almost like, a breath of fresh air. It's a different style of football. You get one chance. It's the better team on the day that go through. So that's a game I'm actually going to be looking forward to watching. If I had to choose one to go through, I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna go with Czech Republic on this one.
Okay.
I'm gonna go against the grain and pick Czech Republic. I just don't trust Frankie. I don't trust Frankie.
Okay. Theo, do you agree? You're wearing kind of orange.
I am. I mean, full orange today, actually. But no, I don't know. I do agree with Guni. I think obviously it's going to be a difficult game. But I think I can't see past the Netherlands, man. I think they've got a lot about them. I really do. They've got a very solid team, and I understand about Frank de Boer. He's very sort of unpredictable at times as well. But I just think, the Netherlands are, they've played well in the games that I've watched, and I think there'll be too much for the Czechs on the day. I think they won't be able to cope with them.
A lot of praise has been heaped on Wijnaldum, and it's deserved, Theo. But then again, Frankie de Jong in the middle of the park, he's been absolutely fantastic, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's been amazing. Like you said, a lot of people talk about Gini and how well he's done, but you need someone like De Jong in that team that can do what he does. Spread the ball, make it harder for the opposition. So, and he does that. So I think you need a player like that in your team as well.
Brilliant. And Steve, the Dutch look like they have their first choice 3-man central defensive trio with Blind, De Ligt and De Vrij now fully fit. So how important to them, or should I say, how important to the team are they to remain fit? Because I saw Van der Vaart on the television talking about Dumfries, the right wing back, saying that he's very flat-footed and he wouldn't be able to play in La Liga. But you look at Blind, De Ligt and De Vrij, they are all ball-playing defenders.
Yes, they are. And I still think De Ligt will score from a corner, a headed goal by the time the tournament ends for them. So he's a threat in both boxes. And they have been really refreshing, Holland. I think we brought up with them. You know, we don't support them, but we've admired them. That would be fairer to say. With their world-class players, they haven't really got any world-class players at the moment, other than Depay potentially. They've got elite players, but no one that can yet be classed as world-class. But they look a good age. As you say, the lads at the back, they want to take the ball, they want to, defend. They're not convincing. So, they make it more refreshing watching them because they give you a chance against them too. But equally, as you say, De Jong, they're suggesting that he passes every ball forward, which is positive. No square passes or back. Wijnaldum's been able to run free. Weghorst up front has been occupying two centre-halves. And I was just hearing you all speak there and thinking about Depay and Mbappe. Obviously, Mbappe is supposedly the best player in the world in that position. Yet Depay seems to have all the time in the world to make runs, get on the ball, twist and turn, have 2, 3, 4 touches. And I'm sure he's only getting the same courtesy as the Mbappe's getting in the games. But Mbappe doesn't really seem to be getting any yards, any space. So I think that's got to be credit to Depay, how he seems to have a bit of time in that position to do his magic, and he looks right on top of his game. And I've really enjoyed watching Holland. I don't know if this is a segue for you, but I've liked Italy, but I've settled down and watched Holland with a real relaxed mind and almost as a neutral, but found myself cheering them on because I think they're quite an exciting team and a lot of potential in them.
Yeah, I got Depay in our dream team for 25 million. How much did Rod get Mbappe for? It's going to come back and bite me. I'm going to make the most of it while I can anyway. Right, okay. England, Germany. Oof, where do we begin with this one? I think during Group F, the way that it changed, I think England could have played every single team. They could have played France at one point. They could have played Germany, Hungary, Portugal. Guni, obviously you're looking forward to this game, but I don't know about this one. I can't see Germany winning. Regardless of how average England have been, I still can't see Germany winning this one.
Remember what I said to you about Germany.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Listen, hear me out. There's two different Germanys, bro. I'm telling you, this Germany that's going to come out in the knockout stages ain't going to play no games, especially with the last minute scare that they've had, right? They've definitely, if they decide to switch on, look at the quality that they've got in that team. Deadly, absolutely deadly. On their day, each one of them individually, I know it's a team game, but on their day, each one of them individually are hitting that world-class boundary, or some of them are considered to be so. But my problem with England is which lineup are we going to see? I think it's the same question that everybody's asking, is what lineup are we going to see from England in the next stage? Because we're in a place where we can't afford to be tinkering. He's got to get it right the first time round. And I feel what we've seen throughout the group stages, although it's got him through, fair play to him, is that there has been a little bit of tinkering. But do we have the talent to go through and beat Germany? Certainly we do. It's just about picking the right personnel for me. And I just hope Southgate can do that for the next round. Yeah, and you know what? That's one thing I was going to lead on to, which I was going to ask Steve, to be fair. I've been very critical of Gareth Southgate. And then when I look at Jogi Löw, who's been the head coach for 13 years for the German national team, I think if Gareth Southgate had the same tactical nous as Jogi Löw did, I'd say England to win this all the way. The only thing that's making me believe that Germany won't win is how many mistakes they've got defensively. As we saw against Hungary, they switched off. And again, that's un-German-like. But then again, it's Gareth Southgate with England, mate. So is he what is holding England back at the moment?
Well, bizarrely, you don't always have to be great to win a tournament. What is it? Is it 6 or 6? Is it 7 games?
What's that?
A tournament. Is it
3 in the group stage?
Yeah, 7.
4,
7.
5, 6, 7. Yeah.
With all respect, we've seen Greece, we've seen Denmark in the past, Czechoslovakia in the past. You don't have to be great. So England haven't been great, yet they're unbeaten in the group stage. They've topped the group. They've got Wembley games to come. Just a quick one on Germany. I know you've covered it. I've watched them quite passionately. I don't know, really settled down and watched this tonight. Their formula seems to be that Tony Cruz, we know he's a world-class player, but everything seems to be designed to get him on the ball in the middle of the pitch, but it's in a negative area. It's not like in a position where he really wants to penetrate or drive into the box. And you see Gundogan is a shadow of himself of what he plays for Manchester City, because all the passes that he normally collects, Tony Cruz is getting, and he's like controlling the game, bossing the game. He's probably man of the match, but he's not really bringing the others into play and creating too much for Germany. You've seen that Gnabry's not had any efforts at goal or scored yet, so I'm confident we can beat Germany. And the Gareth Southgate factor you've mentioned there, he's doing all right, Stel. We know he's media successful, the way he conducts himself, his football behaviour, his social behaviour, and he's brought a spirit to the team by playing lots and lots and lots of young players. But I'm only thinking he's all right, but all right, bizarrely, might be enough to get through this next game, and we might never be great, but we could equally, go deep in the tournament not being great.
Fair point. And Rod, Steve just mentioned Tony Kroos. Are we going to see Calvin Phillips man marking him? Is the Yorkshire Peeler going to turn into the Yorkshire Gattuso this time, or the Yorkshire Herrera?
I would say no. You don't really see man marking much these days. You man mark people like Hazard or man mark Tony Cruz. It's just
point.
The people.
He's their main out, right?
Yeah, whoever's around him, you just close him down. He's not going to hurt you, really, if he's going to play in, which Stel says he's going to get in the areas that he don't want to be in. So he's not going to hurt you from there. He's going to hurt you more further up. So you can have the ball as much as you want there. You're not going to man mark and take it out of your position how you want to play. So. No, to answer your question, no, it won't be man marked, and it's just which team does he play? Does he play Sacco again? He can't really drop Sacco now. It's really impossible. But that means probably Phil Foden will miss out. So
I think he'll drop him.
Pardon?
I think he'll drop him. It's not dropping him. I think he'll check him out.
You'd think Grealish did well to play, so you'd think he'd play again. So. Yeah, it's a difficult one, but it's one that he's got to get right. Brad, if he doesn't, go on, mate.
What about Henderson? Do you think they'll find a place for him?
No, I wouldn't. He's not fit enough. He's played 45 minutes in 3 months. You're going into a European.
Yeah, but you can say something similar about Maguire.
Pardon?
You can say something similar about Maguire.
Yeah, but Maguire is not much. You don't have to run about as much as Henderson. The amount of work rate you've got to put in the middle there, and Maguire wasn't really tested. He cigar out yesterday, so he didn't really actually exert himself. Is he fit, and will his injury withhold 90 minutes? And clearly is strong enough now. So the fitness isn't a worry with a centre half, but in the midfield there when you need to be working, and that's Henderson's strength. It was for Liverpool, getting the ball back, winning the ball back, and letting the better players play. So no, I would probably think you would keep Phillips and Rice there, and then you've always got Henderson. Last 30 minutes, last 20 minutes, bring someone off and stick Henderson from his experience.
Fair
one. I can give you that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, Theo, taking that into consideration, then, if England do go with Rice and Calvin Phillips in the middle of the park, and as Steve said, Gundogan hasn't been great. Gorezka came off the bench to score tonight. He's very physical. He can get forward. He can score goals. Does he go in the middle of the park then?
It's a tough one. Possibly, yeah.
He's got the physical traits to outmuscle Declan Rice and fucking
of course. Phillips, it's a brilliant shout. It's a brilliant shout. I think overall, if he was to come into the German team, I think you'd have to be on your best game in terms of Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips. I think they'd have to be what they're supposed to be, and that's command that midfield, keep him quiet. But it's going to be tough either way. I think it's going to be unfortunate because, like we just mentioned before, you keep Saka in, maybe Foden misses out. If Foden's in, it's a bit unfortunate on Saka, but this is tournament football. It's not, it's not Premier League football. People are going to be unhappy and miss out on games because you want the best team out there. So yeah, Saka had a brilliant game. I'd keep him in. If I'm honest, I'd keep him in. So then it's unfortunate on Foden because we know what he can bring into a team. We watched it in the Croatia game as well, what he can do. So the point I was going to make around England, it just seems for me personally that Harry Kane just isn't fit. And I don't know whether that's because he obviously picked up a couple of injuries in the Premier League before the tournament, but he just doesn't look fit in this tournament. And I think if we're needing goals and I don't know, it's 1-1 and we're looking for a goal scorer, he just doesn't look, he just ran around against the Czech Republic the other night. He just ran around. I know he's not getting a service, which I'm sure we've spoken about on here, and I know a lot of people have said that, but I just think even when there is options for him or there is a chance for him, he just doesn't seem to be taking them. And I don't know if it's just because he's injured or he's carrying an injury or something, or it's just fatigue. I don't know, but he just doesn't look the full part in this tournament. So hopefully he can kick on. Brilliant game against Germany, be a brilliant game for him to start and try and get a goal. I think he's had one shot on target, hasn't he, all tournament? So
Theo, do you not think it might be a transfer in his mind?
Yeah, of course, it could be that as well. He does, he's got all that speculation that he's had before the tournament started, and I'm sure there's discussions probably still going on with his agents and whatever. But I just think when you're at the Euros, you've got to put that to one side and just think this is it's the Euros. How old is he now? 29, so he'll be at the next World Cup and probably the next Euros after that. But you've got to put that to one side and just think this is it. You're playing for your country. You got to put on the best display that you can.
Lads, you mind me just saying something to consider for Kane? Obviously, there's two styles of play these days that are getting recognised. There's a load of this pressing from the front, and England are doing that. The Wembley crowd demand it, all high-intensity stuff. And Kane has found his recent form, or his best form in the last 12 months, dropping into centre midfield to link the play and get involved and overload the middle of the pitch. So if you think about the extra running that he's doing, because normally a centre forward would do one or the other, and some would do none at all. We've seen Ronaldo's running come down less. So if you think about Harry Kane in a natural centre forward position, he's running backwards to get involved with the play in midfield, and then he's got to run the same distance and twice again to go and press centre halves and goalkeepers to stop them getting out from the back. So surely it's not rocket science to work out. He's absolutely working his tail off, and he's doing 2 shifts of running when, like I say, he should normally only be doing 1. And even some centre forwards don't do any and just hang around waiting for a chance to score, which is probably what he did at the start of his career. I think he's putting in a double shift of endeavour.
I think what you've got with that Harry Kane, you talk about Mbappe as well. When it comes to it, if they're needed, they've got that quality and that nerve to, if it's tight, last minute, Harry Kane chance, he's going to put it away. I believe he will anyway, even though the keeper made a great save yesterday. You'd fancy him to score that. But when it comes down to it, he's got that quality and that nerve to get that goal. There's a long way to go, because possibly another 4 games. So he could score a couple of next game and then be off and running. So, but I do agree with Stes. He does do far too much running and not enough being in the box. And obviously the service hasn't been great to him either.
I know he's not English, but I just thought of one straight away, Van Nistelrooy. Presumably you watched him, Rod. He worked very, very hard. But would you say he pressed from the front? Probably not. Would you say you dropped into the circle?
No, but he did, but he was very clever with it. He wouldn't run about like Kane did. He
absolutely.
Go one area and that's his job done. He won't go all over the show. He just won in one area. Once the guy's gone out of his zone, and that's his job done.
Andy Cole, did he drop into centre midfield? Les Ferdinand, did he drop into? I'm just thinking of, even Alan Shearer, did he drop into centre midfield to get involved with the play?
That's probably Harry Kane wanting to get more on the ball, but he's got to be more disciplined to stay in them areas and not touch the ball for a couple more minutes.
Mate, I totally agree. It's just that, you don't have to look too far for me to wonder why he doesn't look fit. They were saying he looks leggy. They were asking questions about his fitness. Of course he's leggy. He's probably doing about 5K more than he should be.
Well, surely that's down to the manager. Should say to him, we need to less of the can really say less of the work rate and be a bit more smart? I don't know.
No, I think that's the plan for 90 minutes, Rod. I think what we saw the other night was when he got brought off again. I think they're going to ask him to keep doing that, and when he's emptied his tank, he's going to come off like he did against Scotland.
Well, you're taking away your greatest asset, aren't you?
And then putting your favourite player on, Dominic.
They haven't got much riches in after Harry Kane. That's it. Well, obviously Rashford could play there, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They didn't take Philip. They didn't take Watkins. So yes, Sterling can play there, but Sterling's got a couple of goals out wide, so he's not going to be dropped. And with a week rest, you pretty much the same team as started really that won that game. You'd probably say.
And lads,
the way the Germans play, will he play free at the back and play? Kyle Walker's a must play with his speed, but will he play a free as Kyle Walker with a free Stones and Maguire, and then who plays? It's one to think about because the Germans, they tore Portugal apart.
He doesn't get on our podcast, but Gary Neville went with Trippier and Luke Shaw as wing backs with Reece James at right centre back and no Walker this afternoon, mate.
No, I would put Walker there. I wouldn't put Reece James just for his experience, his speed alone. Yeah, Reece James, no. Trippier, yes. Shaw, yes.
And the only thing we've seen of Rashford is in the ITV at the start when he's dressed up as a cartoon character, bringing some meat and potato pies to the table.
That's a worry for United fans. Some of the, Bruno hasn't been his greatest. Some of the United players are not getting a start. Sancho's not getting a sniff, and this transfer saga. Rashford's not playing. People should put more respect on Paul Pogba because he's probably been the standout player in the midfield for this tournament so far.
Yeah.
Lindelof's done well as well.
No, in the midfield.
Oh, in the midfield.
It's an upstart.
In the midfield, yeah. But no, I just think going back to what Steve said about Harry Kane, I remember in the first 5 or 6 minutes of the second half, Harry Kane collected the ball in front of the back four.
Yeah.
And he drove forward a bit. And I remember talking to a friend this morning about Harry Kane. This season for Spurs was his most successful in terms of goals scored. And that was under Mourinho, a manager that didn't want his forward to drop deep. He didn't want his forward to drop deep. He just wanted to goal hang. Okay, we saw Harry Kane drifting out wide, left and right, but you never saw him collecting the ball in front of the back four. Never saw him. He was always up top. Let everyone else do the donkey work for him, and then he feeds off whatever's there.
Yeah.
So I just think it's Gareth Southgate and his tactical. I wouldn't say deficiencies. That wouldn't be too fair because he's fairly new to it. But at the same time, this is international football, and he only gets a certain amount of time to coach these guys throughout the year. So obviously, he's got the time to think about what to do with them. But whether his system works or not is a different thing. But we digress. But just one more thing, gents. I'm looking at the tournament table. Most of the favourites: Italy, Belgium, Portugal, France, and if you want to say Spain, one of them, they're all on one side. They all could potentially face each other. So you've only really got England, Germany, and probably the Dutch in terms of favourites on the other side. So are you guys thinking that possibly England could get to the final? They might play Wales in the semi-final. You never know.
Yeah. You can't. If you've, I don't know. I've not looked at it. You've got the permutations there, but for me, it's genuinely all about avoiding France.
We'll put it this way, Steve. Yeah. France plays Switzerland, and the winner plays Croatia against Spain. Right?
No, honestly, there's only France. There's only France, in my opinion. I'm not huge on England, but that would be favourites against England. I make them just favourites at Wembley against Germany. If they played Portugal, I would make them level game. If they were against Spain, I'd make them favourites. If they were against Croatia, I'd make them favourites. I won't go through them all. I'll look at the other nations. There's only France that I would think, we're second favourite there.
That's fair enough. And Rod, Italy, Austria, and the winner plays Belgium. Yeah, it's Italy.
My bad. Italy.
Italy, Austria, and then the winner of that face Belgium or Portugal. And then the winner of that face the winner of France, Switzerland, or Croatia, Spain. So, as I said, all of the favourites are.
So if we win, we play Belgium next, don't we? Belgium or
Wales.
Portugal. if we beat Denmark.
No, you
I
got
fancy-
No,
Netherlands
it's
or
Holland.
Netherlands
It's
or Czech
Netherlands or Czech
Republic.
Republic.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
You're on the
So-
other side, so that you could play England in the semi-finals.
All right, okay. Yeah, it's England. It's all
Or Germany or Ukraine or
it's
Sweden.
all looking good for England, really. You know, the squad they've got, they're at home, they're not really travelling much, which is a big, massive plus. We've already talked before how travelling can wipe you out, especially when you've been playing, 3 games in a week, and then you've got to travel.
Yeah,
wherever.
great point.
So,
And it double crowd in it next time, Rod. Double crowd at Wembley.
Yeah, double crowd, and then the crowds get bigger. It's in your semi-final, you get 60,000 in Wembley. So whoever you play, you're at home with that crowd. So it's definitely there for England. But they've got to take it to these teams now. They've got to actually, show the quality, because let's get it right. If they don't get really to the final, it's a fail really, because like just rolling points I've just pointed out. The squad they've got, being at home, having the nice draw, being on that side. So yeah, there's no explanation, no reason why they shouldn't be.
Guni, have you seen the tournament chart? How it pans out, or how it's mapped out? He's muted. Still muted.
I'm no longer muted. I'm back. I'm back, lads. What was I going to say? I'm actually looking for the tournament map, as you so elegantly called it, but I haven't found it. I'm still just looking. I'm looking here at just the teams that are in the rounds of 16, and just from what I've heard from you guys on the side that England are on, I think if we get past Germany, because I still think there's a big question mark there. At that point, I believe anything can happen.
Sweden or Ukraine.
I believe anything can happen from that point. And I have to agree with Steve, and I'm sure many of us do agree, that France are really the team that we want to be avoiding, because it's like Steve was saying, they're just favourites against anybody in this tournament. And that's no slight on England. It's just the quality that France have. But if we do beat Germany, I may start to believe that we could go quite deep into this tournament.
Okay. And Theo, I can't not include you in this one, man. Come on. Well, what do you make of this tournament map? Because, as I said, all the favourites effectively are on one side, so that they're all getting knocked down.
Yeah,
they're going down like flies.
I think Italy, if you want to call them the dark horses still of the tournament, but I still think Italy, I've watched all their games and they look the most comfortable in terms of the way that they play their football, alongside France obviously as well. But I just think Italy, if they can progress against Austria, I think they could probably beat a Belgium or a Portugal. I think from the games that I've watched, they look very comfortable. Obviously that'd be a very interesting semi-final if they were to play France as well. So that would be, for me, that would be the game of the tournament, hopefully. And then obviously on the other side, you've got, if England can beat Germany, then Sweden, so forth. That would make a good final for me, whether it's Italy or France on one side, and then obviously, England on the other side. But I do think Italy can't be ruled out. I think a lot of people are sort of just looking at France and saying France, which they are, they're a brilliant team. And even, watching them tonight, they're a brilliant team. But Italy have looked really comfortable in all their games that I've watched. And I just think they can't be slept on. We have to keep an eye on them.
Don't mean to butt in, but even in the last game, didn't they make several changes to their lineup and they still look pretty good?
Yeah.
Just really to back your point up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only worry you have about Italy is that they've had it. Yes, they've played well, but they've not really yet been tested really yet by a good team.
With all the games in Rome.
Yeah. That's a good shout. That's a good point. But I still think, even just looking at the way that, even before the tournament started, I can't remember, there was a stat of whether they've not conceded or they've not lost in like 11 games or 12 games. So they still are playing very good football, even before the tournament started. I just think an outsider for me, if I was going to put money on someone, I would throw it on Italy, because I think they've looked very, very comfortable, albeit, they've made changes and they're playing in their home nation, but can't sleep on Italy.
Yeah, see, if they come across Belgium, I'd fear for Italy, because I think they're strongest in wide areas, and the Belgians are very good at closing those areas down. So they won't be able to put the balls into the channel and spray balls out wide because Belgium will always have a player there. But then again, 1v1 situations, you never know. You never know.
Who did
But,
Belgium play?
That's a beautiful thing when you get to these last four, though. Anyone can win it, can't last.
Yeah, exactly.
Four, anyone can do it.
Well, Belgium face Portugal, Steve.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
If they get through that one, then it's either Italy or Austria.
Yeah.
But then again, you still can't rule out Austria shocking them. I know that they haven't had a good tournament. Well, they beat, who did they beat? They beat Ukraine, didn't they? And they were lousy against the Dutch. But as I said, it's knockout.
There's always one surprise that gets further than you expect. Will it be Denmark? Will it be Wales again? Will it be Ukraine? Will it be Sweden? And there's always one out of the pack. So who will it be?
Yeah, that's right. Well, look, one more thing before I wrap it up, gents. I know this is a really long-winded question, but goal of the tournament, we've seen so many bangers, haven't we? We've seen Yarmolenko, we saw Giggs, Modric the other day against Scotland. Who's your pick, Steve? Which one?
You've just said it. You dream about scoring a goal that Modric scored against Scotland. That's
your pick, yeah?
Oh, sublime. The thought, although you didn't have much time to think about it, but I think the word I'm going to use is the care that he used, and Paul Merson used to, score goals similar with the outside of the boot, and it's not seen very often. And when it does come off like that, but he just paintbrushed it, didn't he? That's the best way. It was just care. It was just paintbrush, and it was just in such a big game that secured the win. I thought it was one of the best goals I've ever seen. Honestly, I really do. Never mind this tournament. I loved it.
Rod?
No, that was, it's a good goal, but the way he pinged it with outside his foot, the pace he had on it. But yeah, for me, it's got to be the Czech Republic or the Croatian Czech Republic.
What, Schick from the halfway line?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Just the way he did it, the time that, obviously the keeper, when you're playing in games like that, I've done it before, you always keep an eye on the keeper. There's always a keeper that goes too high, and you're always looking for it. So yeah, the keeper was too high, and he's capitalised on it. It's literally a deflection, and it's a goal 5 seconds later. So yeah, that one for me.
Theo,
I'm going to go for Modric. I agree with Rod. I think before, obviously, the Modric goal, I think Giggs was probably the best goal. It was just impulse, literally just knew where the keeper was, put it in. But I think the way that Modric finessed that in yesterday was just no words.
Sublime.
Yeah, no words. So yeah, Modric for me.
Okay. Guni.
I'm gonna go Modric as well.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you. It's just like the time, because I watched him all the way before he was going to hit the ball. He just had his eye on that ball, and he knew exactly where he was going to slap it, and he just did that, just outside of the foot, round the keeper. Beautiful finish, and in the tournament as well at that level. Come on, do you know what I mean? But I do want to give an honourable mention to Lewandowski's goal today. I thought that was a lovely finish, absolutely beautiful finish. I love Lewandowski, so I just thought I would throw that in there.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with Christensen's one for Denmark, because he's a central defender. And do you remember Klaus Augenthaler, Steve, the German sweeper? He always used to do that, didn't he?
Hey, can I change my answer? Is it too late to change?
30, 40 yards, he but he just walloped that ball. And the thing is, that ball could have gone anywhere. He hit it with his laces. It could have gone anywhere. And what I love most about that goal, forget the distance, forget that the ball hit the back of the net and bounced out, the beer being thrown by the Danes.
The celebrations, man.
Fucking brilliant, man. That's football, man. That's football. We've missed that. We've missed the fans at the stadium just for things like that. And to see tonight in Budapest, a stadium full, no social distancing, French fans, Portuguese fans just going fucking mental. That's brilliant, man. It's absolutely brilliant.
Well, mate.
There you go. Right. And that's it for another episode, ladies and gents. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Theo, Guni, Rod, Steve. We'll do this again very soon, because obviously we're going to the last 16 now. So before
what we do now, we're like 2 days, football.
I I don't know. Are there any other sports worth talking about? There's
Copa America's still on, I think.
Brazil,
Copa America?
Brazil tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I know there's a Blackburn Rovers striker playing for Chile. That's all I know at the
They
moment.
scored.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did.
Brereton, he was from Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
There you go. But that's about it. I know. I haven't been paying attention to Copa America, to be honest. I'm rubbish. But oh well.
Well, we can also see who Tottenham are going to be linked with as the manager tomorrow.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
maybe.
Well, my friend Harry has turned down the job offer. Harry from Chronicles of Aguna. He's an Arsenal fan. He's turned it down. Rod, do you want the Spurs job? Do you want it?
What about your pal getting turf from Wembley yesterday?
It's not my pal. It's Gooni's pal. It's not my pal.
Yeah.
That was funny that though. Why did they throw him out?
Because he was vlogging during the national anthem. Well, his cameraman was, and he was adamant that they were allowed to do it, but it came out in the rules that unless you have a specific license, obviously broadcasting or television license, you can't film in the stadium. So that's why they ejected him. He wasn't very happy, to say the least.
Filming? So what? You can't film a phone and video? Or was it
No, what it is, Rod? What it is, yeah, with UEFA to get your accreditation, because this happened with me. To get your accreditation, you got to apply for it, and if you're working for Sky or BT or ESPN or whatever, they're called rights holders. These are the broadcasters that pay to have cameramen in the stadium, to have reporters, to have journalists. They're called rights holders. So basically the companies do that for you. But with me, because I'm a non-rights holder, I don't have the same access to these guys, right? So I could have gone to the press conference, but I wouldn't be able to record anything. I wouldn't have been able to take photographs. So where I was sat in the stadium, it was the Champions League final between Real Madrid and Juventus. Where I was sat in the stadium, there was 4 rows of non-rights holders, and there was security everywhere. So I couldn't take photographs before the game. I could take photographs before the game, not during the game. I could take photographs at half time, but not in the second half, or even when the trophy was being handed. So that is what they were doing. I think that's what they did with troops, because the guys at Barstool, they walked in with fucking video cameras.
Yeah, it was a bit extreme though, wasn't it? About 20 security guards.
Yeah, but you know what? Someone put a video up of troops kicking the seats during the Scotland game, and also they filmed the incident with Sterling going down in the box, and they put it on his YouTube channel. And I think that's what fucked him, because they didn't forget that, because UEFA are fucking brutal when it comes to that, because they've got their own, like what we watch on the TV.
It's all UEFA, isn't it?
That's UEFA. Yeah, that's UEFA's feed. So it all comes from them. So everything comes through them. So that shit that we saw with Ericsson, while the BBC had the option to switch it back to the studio, which they didn't, which was wrong.
So
that
UEFA's
feed
broadcast.
that we saw, that's all UEFA. Yeah, that's all UEFA. So it's down to UEFA. UEFA could have cut it. So I think all these rules and that kind of shit, it's different with Premier League matches, because you got to get a Premier League accreditation, which costs you like $1,000. But the UEFA one, if you're non-rights holder, it's free.
Okay.
So there you go. So yeah. Anyway, I've bored you with that.
Good work, Stel.
Thank you very much. Right. Anyone want to plug anything? Theo, anything you want to mention? Your Twitter or?
Yeah, well, starting up obviously the Chelsea channel. So it's called @From the Shed End podcast. That's on Twitter and Instagram. There's a lot of content out there already. So anyone who's listening, just follow us on Twitter and Instagram @From the Shed End.
Splendid. Guni.
Man Knows Football, YouTube, same on Instagram, Twitter, drop the S. That's where you'll find the channel. 3 subscribers away from 300. So give me my Leonidas stripes, please.
Come on,
Let's
then.
become Spartans. You get me?
And he's got a blue bandage because he's a Chelsea supporter as well. Lovely. Rod.
Rod James Giggs.
Superb. And Steve is the man who does not have any social media.
Just read all yours.
He's a smart one out of all of us. That's it, boys and girls. That's it until the next time. So until next time, we'll be back.